It's lovely to see you all here. This is a real milestone for us. This is our first anniversary. We would not be here without Richard Traverso and some grants that came in that helped us to begin. Raphael Medical Foundation being the primary one. We have other sponsors and many, many volunteers. Those volunteers' names are listed on the board behind us, and we cannot thank you enough. Sit there. Today's agenda is full. After welcoming and a few comments, then Frank is going to give a lecture, and then afterwards everyone's going to convene in the second room here. And some things are going to be set up in here so that when you're done in there, you can come in here and the show and tell in here is ready to go. And then other people after that will share their work. That happens though after lunch, after potluck. So we go from Frank's lecture to potluck to then sharing research work. And then closing and then having our cake. When I think about what it's been like to have been here a year now, and what it's like to have met everyone, talked to so many people on the phone, all over the world, emailed all over the world, I can only express my deepest gratitude to Frank, to the Chestahedron, to all of you for a very full life. I really can hardly describe how amazing it's been. So what I'm going to do is use all of you to help do that. Now I have my own experiences, and I know many of you here know Frank, work with Frank, and have known him in the past. You've all met the Chestahedron, whether it was just today or from the very beginning when Frank discovered it in the year 2000. Our exercise is going to begin with talking about the Chestahedron. What were your first impressions? And if you could just say one word to describe your very first meeting, and then feel free in a moment to say what it was. I'll start. Wow. Next person.
Amazing.
Wow.
Profound.
What did you say?
Profound.
Profound.
It's a vortex.
It's a vortex.
Striking.
Striking.
Exciting.
Exciting.
Magnetic space geometry.
Magnetic space geometry.
Alien technology.
Alien technology. It's not just that he said alien technology. Alien technology. All right, Kevin, keep going. Keep going. Let's describe our first encounter with the Chestahedron. This is important. For some people, this happened in the year 2000 because that's when Frank discovered it, is in the year 2000.
Yeah, that's wow.
Okay, we keep coming back to wow. Any others?
Yeah, I was struck by the grandeur of the will forces and the thinking to create it.
Well, you gotta think Nostradamus had this down a long time ago. There's a man in the Chestahedron. He showed the different parts. It was like this. Actually like this.
That's right. Give me one word description.
Revolutionary.
Huh?
Outside the box.
Outside the box. There you go. All right, now, after having lived, for those that have not just met the Chestahedron, after a period of time, give me some more descriptive words of your experience of the Chestahedron and your relationship to the Chestahedron.
Deep.
Deep?
Nested.
Pardon me?
Nested.
Nested.
Reverence.
Reverence.
Spiritual.
Spiritual.
Illumination.
Illumination.
Magical.
Pardon me?
Magical.
Magical.
Heartfelt.
Heartfelt.
Enlivening.
Enlightening.
Knowing.
Knowing.
Insightful.
Insightful.
Hope.
Hope.
Validation.
Validation. This is really good. Keep going.
Maverick.
Maverick? Maverick.
Purpose.
Pardon me?
Purpose.
Purpose. Yes, indeed. So our relationship deepens with our work and our study and understanding of the Chestahedron and everything that the Chestahedron is associated with. And we just barely scratched the surface. Now, I'm going to turn our exercise in a slightly different direction. One-word descriptions of Frank Chester. Indefatigable. I'll begin.
Humble.
Humble.
Wizard.
Selfless. Wizard.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing.
Righteous.
Righteous.
Master.
Master.
Humble.
Humble.
Magnanimous.
Magnanimous. Yes.
Enlightened.
Pardon me?
Enlightened.
Enlightened. Yes.
Illuminated.
Okay, I'm going to add a few.
Humor.
Humorous. Yes.
Kind.
Very, very patient.
Patient.
Very,
Euclid.
yes, yes. All right.
Inspired.
Insightful.
Insightful, inspired, inspiring,
Gentle.
gentle,
All-encompassing.
Giving.
giving. Yeah. So really, these are our experiences over the last year. I can also add challenging. When you can't get something or you can't get it quite right, it can be very frustrating. But you do what Frank always says. You just keep going. And no matter what the obstacles, whether it's a thing or a person or an idea or anything, you just keep going. And that's what we do here. We work with our hands constantly. If too many questions that are all too head-oriented abound around here, Frank brushes you off. You've got to get busy and work with your hands. That really is the only way through our will forces and our actions to really come to know something and to know each other. So being able to work together is really a privilege and a pleasure. And most of that occurs on Wednesdays. And you can imagine conversation around here. It's lively, it's inspiring. We take a hold of things that we sit on and sleep with and let grow. And I assure you, you cannot be faint-hearted about math or geometry. You cannot let you keep from walking through those doors because it is all so much more broad and deep and enlightening, as you know. So just for the record, do not ever let that stop anyone from approaching Frank or the Chestahedron or anything around here, any of us. So that kind of sums up what an amazing year it's been. And thank you again to all of our sponsors and volunteers. We really can hardly thank Richard Traverso enough. We really would not be here without him. The work that occurs here speaks for itself, and that is going to happen. A wonderful show and tell will occur after lunch, as I said before, and you can ask the people working on these projects any questions that you have at that time. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to close with a verse. Have I forgotten anything? Right? Anything? Good to go. All right. It's not a verse, it's a paragraph from a lecture. And a man named Peter Soeg, who lives in Switzerland, was going through the Ida Wegman archives. And she was a medical doctor that worked with Rudolf Steiner. And they found this amongst her notes. And he published this in a book titled The Mystery of the Heart, The Sacramental Physiology of the Heart, in Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas, and Rudolf Steiner. With matters as they are, one can state emphatically that we know heartily little about what takes place inside the human being. Everything that we do not know or understand concerns the human heart. We still know only heartily little about it. We know about what takes place in the physical world and what can be described using the laws of nature. We also know about the moral tasks that the human being performs, which can be described according to the laws of morality. However, every moral deed and every physical action in a human life are connected in the human heart. We will find the true fusion of these two parallel and independent phenomena, moral events and physical events, only when we truly learn to understand the configuration of the human heart. Let us welcome Frank Chester in our lecture.
Very much. I started this 14 years ago. I never thought this would happen. But there's a lot of people here that don't have a place to sit down. There's a bench up here in front. There's 2 or 3 people can sit in. on here, and because it'll be an hour, you'll be on your feet. So try to find something. I have a stool here for somebody.
Squeeze somebody in here. There's a chair over here. Is that yours, Kevin?
There's 2 seats over
Yeah, there's a
here
couple
next
of
to
chairs
each other.
there.
There's a seat up here. Anybody will have 2 seats. They're
And here's an
right
extra
there.
seat here, please. Please,
So, Richard, would you come up here for a minute? This is the Richard Caruso. Okay. He's put up with me for a whole year, offered all of this, okay? And my wildest dream, I never thought this would happen, but one day he called me up on a phone. He said, oh, gee, one of my friends said you had some idea about water. And so I said, well, I have something. And so he said, I know a guy that you should get hold of. So this went on between Richard and I for over a year. And people, he would say, hey, go check this guy out. The guy would come to me or he wouldn't come, whatever. But nothing ever panned out. So one day Richard calls me up and he says, the hell with it, I'm going to do it. That's why this is here. I never knew Richard. He's a successful businessman. He owns these billboards along the freeway. He didn't know anything about what I did, whatever. But see, there's a heart force there, okay, that he feels. He's that kind of guy. All right, so I can't thank you enough for all the things you said. I mean, it's like I could just go across the threshold. No. What more is there? I mean, my gosh. But this is an anniversary of the first year. We finished 1 whole year, and you will see all the things that we started and did and so forth during this time. And so this is the beginning of the second year. So the first year I rang the bell, so now I get to ring it twice. Plan to do is talk a little bit about geometry. I want to put some geometry on the board here so you can see the wonderful things about geometry. And then I'm going to explain the Chestahedron in relationship to its geometry. And then I'm going to explain one section about the heart. And then the last thing I'm going to do is to show you a project that came to me, okay, that's connected to the heart and it's what it does. And it's undercover. I haven't had any, no one knows what this is, no one's seen it before, and the research people, they don't know what it is. But what is interesting about it is that it's new. So I bring something completely new that no one has seen before, and this thing is wild. Okay, it's a sculpture, and that's what that's how I started, the sculpture. So I also want to thank, all of you who have helped me, and my research head of research is Dean Fuller, and all the work that he's done to help me. He's right back there on the bench. See, he's got a hand. Anyway, so let me just show you a little bit of geometry, which is really great. Just make a circle, and then, of course, most people know that the diameter of the circle, or the radius of the circle, if you go all the way around. Now, a lot of times I do this, and it seems like, well, why does he do something so simple? Because it's just too much to leave behind. It's too profound. You have to just do it over and over because it is so unreal. Okay, so that divides a circle into 6 perfect lengths. I mean, just who did this? So, if I take a straight edge and I connect these, every other one, I will get a simple triangle. Now a triangle is the first polygon that comes in to the 3rd dimension, which is where I work. Okay, so there it is. Now, if I take the compass again, and I set it so it's Now inside that triangle, I may not get it perfect, but I'll get close. Okay, so now you have two circles. This circle is exactly half the size of this one. Perfect. That's perfectly half. So that means if this distance right here is 10 inches, then if I draw another I'll draw another one. Make it right here. Okay, if this is 10, this triangle is 5. 10, 5. If I go around here again, I have a 6-pointed star, and that 6-pointed star also is the same size as this circle that goes around here, which is half the size. That's just unbelievable geometry. Okay. So, I'm going to read something here. It's called Creativity and Creatively Using the Golden Mean. The golden mean is a geometric proportion between two measurements. Is an ancient form of spiritual practice. Awareness of the golden mean significance has been instrumental in the acceleration of culture throughout history and is now becoming and emerging as a spiritual renaissance as an art movement. Understanding the workings of the golden mean increases your spiritual perception. Here it is. This is the golden mean caliper D made. And it's based on the star. The geometry is based on a star which has 5 points. And this star and this relationship, wherever it is based on our human body. It's based on the vegetables and plants. It's also based on animals. And the skeleton right over there is one of the reasons that this was made, so you can measure. But this distance from here to here, okay, you can see the relationship of the 1, 6, 1, 8. And it's all over the place to try to find these things. So let's see how this one here. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I use this on a Chestahedron. I have a smaller one here. These are for sale. Dean is producing these. I think they're $55. Made, sent to you. They're aluminum. They get really big so you can measure the whole body. Okay. There's a smaller one that's on the market. It's plastic. Same thing. So I'm going to show how this relates to the Chestahedron. Okay, so here's the Chestahedron. If I measure the distance from here to here, okay, this right here, from here to here, is the golden mean. Right there. So if I make a bigger one, this is exactly where it is. The very center of the form, which has a 6-pointed star. Just like I drew on the board. Now, if I go above this or below this, it's no more 6. Okay? It's unrelated. It's too big. Alright, let's see what else there is here. If I take this measurement here, across here, what's this measurement? That's wild. If I take this measurement here, golden mean of the triangle, that's this measurement. That's wild. You can figure this thing out completely with this caliper. The distance from here to here. Let's see if we get anything from here. If I take this distance here, that's exact. Look at this. If I take this distance from here to here, look. It's this distance. It's also the same distance from the center to the outside, if I can get that in there. Look at that. It's thick. This has all kinds of golden mean ratios. And if I take a form like this, put the golden mean ratio here, and here it is here, and here it is here. And if I cross the points here, right there in the center, run a straight line across, this also the golden mean. If I put two of these together, it'll look like this. So I can adjust this one here to be like this one. I have to get this just right. It's the same here. This part is the same as this part. This is the Chestahedron. Now if you look at this, there is a triangle here. There's a triangle at the top and at the bottom. So if I take this distance from here to here, it's the same as this. I mean, you're looking at a magic that I only found. I didn't do this, I found it. I mean, this is crazy. And if I take the distance from here to here, here it is here. Here it is here. And right in the center, okay, this point right there, that point, is a six-pointed star. So, this triangle, okay, makes a tetrahedron-like shape. Here's a tetrahedron. And at the bottom, there's another one. See there? That's where this all comes from. In other words, what I've done is I put a face on this one, and a face on this one, and it's a yellow and a blue. All right. If I bring this triangle at the top, this one, a rubber band, and I take this one at the bottom, okay, there they are. Now, if I move this one down, it'll be the same size at the bottom as it is. See that? All right, here, I'm going to move it back up. Move this rubber band back up. But what I think I'll do is I'll move it up to the golden mean. So let's see where that is. That's about right there. Everybody following how I'm doing that? All right. There's a really nice triangle. Now, the bottom one here is a bigger one. I'm going to slide it up until it meets there, because we know that's the golden mean. So let's get the golden mean on that one. It's a perfect six-pointed star. Perfect. So that means is that there is a force coming up here and a force coming down, and they're meeting. So if I make a real abstraction like this, just to show you, this is how it is. So what's happening is this one's moving down and this one's moving up until they become a six-pointed star perfect. And this is known as stellated tetrahedron. So what that is one here and one upside down. And they meet right in the middle. And that's why, when you look at this thing, it's two equilateral triangles just like this. But the problem is that this is two-dimensional. And two-dimensional, we need to get into the third dimension. And the reason we need to do that is because the third dimension can only be perceived by us in the fourth dimension. So when we look at the third dimension, we're looking at the fourth dimension, has to do with time. Okay, the second dimension doesn't. Only the third dimension does. All right, so we brought these two together and we got this. Now, if we take the 6, which is this distance, see how that is? Yeah, right there. That's the same size. So, I'm on color chalk. Well, I'll use the same one. That's this distance. There it is. Except it comes to the center. Now we have this. That's in here. It's the same. This is exactly, if I could get it in there, it's the same size. So what we have to do is open this up, and you have a cube. A perfect cube. And what fits in that cube? This does. This goes in there. Look, it's the same size. So, here it is, the Chestahedron. Wow. There's this guy. Is inside that cube. And that cube, you know, is from this. And you know that comes from the 6. All of these are to scale. So if I take the gold 6-pointed star, okay, and I fold it out, it becomes a cube. And that cube, okay, has a geometry in relationship to the inside of this. So that's this part. That cube fits in here. So this is one side of the cube here, another side of the cube, and the top of the cube. There it is, the very same size, it's fitting in. All right, so the thing is that, if, you know, I'm talking about whatever everybody in here has in their chest. That's what I'm talking about. This is a chestahedron. It's a hedron, which means many sides, that's in our chest. It's our treasure chest. So this is not there anymore. This is structure. This is framework. This is geometry. Geometry becomes organic, okay, through a process, and of course, which I'll show you later. But the geometry is behind what's going on. So the more we understand about the geometry, the more we understand about our heart. So what's inside here? Well, what's inside here, okay, is another form. And so this is a stellated octahedron, but they call it a star tetrahedron. And there's all kinds of uses of this by many religions. I want something they call a Merkaba. Okay, all this kind of stuff's going on. Okay, so but if you understand where it's coming from your heart, what's inside this? I have to know what's inside that. What's inside the chestahedron? You didn't know that. It's just an empty space. Now it's got a couple of rubber bands. Now it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. But all of this is lawful. None of this is made up. None of this is off my wishful thinking. It has nothing to do with it. Just like the form has really nothing to do with me, except I'm a messenger. So what's inside this? This is an octahedron. So that means that there's an octahedron in here too. There it is. There's the octahedron inside the cube. Now the octahedron touches all the faces. All right? But this doesn't. This goes across the faces. It makes a cross. But inside that now, you know there's this. Now this is what's really interesting. In the esoteric side of geometry, the tetrahedron is known as fire. That's what they call it. This is the element. Earth, water, air, and fire. This is fire. So when you put these two together, the two tetrahedrons become perfectly balanced, which is right in our heart. So what that means is that this is fire and this is warmth. And when you put these two together, okay, it makes this guy in here. It's the same size. The reason I do is I try to keep all these things in scale. You can see that the tetrahedron goes in the cube. Perfect. And the other one goes in this one. But you got both of them inside together in the middle. Now, so what you have is warmth and fire. That's what's inside the tetrahedron. That's inside the cube, I'm sorry. And the cube is known as Earth. And the cube is what brings everything into stability. So now we have these two triangles, or these two tetrahedrons, that are in a stable relationship and exactly balanced in the human heart. And inside this is the octahedron. This is known as fire and warmth. All right, so what does this symbolize? In all the geometry, this symbolizes light. So in the human heart, there's not only warmth and fire, okay, enthusiasm, whatever. Remember, it's always the balance between polarities. So fire is the opposite is warmth. But fire, you can see it. It's physical. Whereas warmth, you can't. You can't see the warmth I have for somebody in the back. But I have it. You can't see it, but it's there. So that's the balance. And of course, this is light. So they say that the heart is the combination of warmth and light. And this is the geometry equivalent of those statements that everybody's making, but has no idea what it's all about. It's all based on wishful thinking, or it's all based, which is something wrong with that. But it's all, but at least now we have a science that actually shows this. Okay, so one of the things that really bothered me about this thing is that it's in the middle, but it's not in the middle. I'm really upset with this because if I take this distance here, see how it's not the same. Look, if I do this here. It's not the same, is it? Look, this is up higher. What's going on here? I don't like that. I want this thing to be in here, huh? All right. So what I decided to do is to make the six-pointed star and put the Chestahedron, because it right in the middle is the pentagram, or not the pentagram, but the hexagram. So in here is exactly where the Chestahedron is in the middle. But as you can see, that this part here is shorter than this one. I lived with this for a long time, didn't like it. But there's a circle here. Remember how I said that the circle's half the height? This circle's half the size of this one. And this circle's half the size of this one. Can see those two? You can see those two, right? This is really something else. What happens about those six-pointed stars? And you know the six-pointed star three-dimensionally is a stellated octahedron. So one day I decided, okay, I'm going to put this into a sphere. And so I did. Oh my gosh, the bottom, okay, when the bottom hit the bottom of the sphere, it's right in the middle. So now I'll put the other half on, and now if I put the other half on, the top touches the top. So this whole time I've been sweating this whole thing and we're upset with this. It's absolutely fantastic that this can go into a sphere and some of this double six-pointed star touch the top and the bottom. Unbelievable. So you see what I mean? You just got to be patient. And some things that don't work out, it's good that you don't try to cheat or try to fudge or whatever. No, we're okay, so I also wanted to find out the middle of the form, and so I took off the top, and I took out the bottom, and I got this form. And of course that form, if you look at it, this ratio here is the same as this one. And the middle is the same. I stretch this out and I get the middle. There's the middle. See, what this is a three-dimensional one of these. See it?
Mm-hmm.
It's this one right here. It's this one. With ears. Same thing. So if I put this together, like this, then that point should be the same. Right there. New architecture. Okay, so I'm going to move now into the heart. And one of the qualities of the human heart is based on the research that's going on, okay, in science. Remember, this is called expansive science, not contractive science. By the way, these are for sale. You can purchase these online. And they are the ones that I showed you. Okay, that makes the key. These are for sale. Isn't that cool? Well, wait till you see what this does. All right, here we go. The heart, the human heart. Hey, the first thing I want to show you is this, and I know Robert's going to like this. Okay, here's a sphere that represents the Earth. Okay, at the top, the Earth turns counterclockwise, so that's this way. Am I right? See that? Okay, so if it turns counterclockwise, that means this is too. If you look through it. Does everybody follow me there? Well, the Earth is, I don't know, Earth spins at 23 whatever degrees, whatever. But it's counterclockwise. Look, there it is. Now I'm going to turn this upside down. Okay, I'm going to turn it around so you can see the back. Now which way is it turning? Clockwise. It's turning clockwise. How can that be? Now if I turn this way, it's going counterclockwise. Oh, what I have? This is clockwise. And this is counterclockwise? Oh, good. I thought, oh my goodness. I didn't explain that very well. All right, now, this is what's interesting. If I take this apart, and I put them together, you can see from the top, if I put them together, they're going opposite direction. Everybody see that? Now this is what the heart does. The heart goes in both directions like this, counterclockwise and counterclockwise. But they have to be together. But there's no form out there that they have found that shows how that happens. So, this might take me a little while, but I made all of these things here to help you understand this. Take the bottom out. There's the bottom. Same kind of thing, yeah? Can I keep everything in the same scale so you can compare? All right, here we go with these two now. Now I take these two apart, and now they're turning in opposite directions from where you can look with your eye. One is turning clockwise and one is turning counterclockwise. That's wild. From the same view. So, here's the triangles. See, those are the two triangles, look. Spinning in opposite directions. 6-pointed star. This is what's going on in the heart. So, I have this drawing here that's from a doctor a long time ago. He took the human heart and he took muscle layers and cut them. The first one, he takes a slit here and unwraps the muscle. This is the second layer. See how it goes in? Third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer, sixth layer, seventh layer. 8th layer, the very inside of the heart, all the way. All the way. Now what's really interesting about this is that it's going this direction when it first starts. Your human heart has a muscle layer which is called myofibers. The myofibers are running in this direction. And then it gets steeper, and then almost straight across. They are straight across. And then what happens after that is they change the direction, opposite direction. Now it's going this way at the end. So one part, half of the heart, is clockwise, and the other half of the heart is counterclockwise. So if you take this, is what I figured out, is that to get this to go around the Chestahedron, this is longer, they're the same size, to get this to go around the Chestahedron, I found out that these 3 points and these 3 points touch the cone. And this cone is 22.5 degrees. 22.5 degrees. Now, so is this. This will go around the heart and also will go in the heart. That's the geometry behind it. And this second circle, this circle I drew right here, is exactly half. It's the size of the mitral valve. That's the blood that comes from the lungs to get into the left ventricle. So, if you take this apart, inside our heart is a vortex. Well, let's say I take the vortex apart. Anyhow, it's going in this direction, isn't it? It's getting, what's happening? It's starting to flatten out, isn't it? All right, now it is. Now it should reverse. There it is. That's half of this. This is one circle. One circle. So if I undo the other circle, look what happens. Now it reverses the direction, just like the heart does right here. Until the last layer, okay, is doing exactly the opposite as the first layer. So that makes sense to why this form has 2 opposite movements inside one form. So if you take the Chestahedron and you put it into soap and you blow a bubble, here's what the bubble looks like. This is exactly the geometry of the left ventricle of the human heart. You can look on any book, any medical book, whatever. That is the geometry. It even has this point right here that's in, and that's because this is in. If there's a triangle there, look. There's a kite here. But it's become into minimum surfaces. This is called minimum surfaces. And this becomes organic. Not geometry, but organic. So this shows that the geometry isn't in our heart, other in the scaffolding that you take down from a building after it's built. And you think, how did they get up there? It's because they had scaffolding. That's what we had in our heart in its original design. And there it is, a bell. It turns into a bell. Okay, now it fits in a cube. The Chestahedron fits in a cube. 7 points touch, which was really a problem for me to try to figure out. And here it is. This is the inside of the human heart. This is, they call this, the doctors call this heart chamber architecture. They even use the word architecture. It's really great. Okay, so what's happening in here is that you got a 6-pointed star. Now this is in the center of the heart, not on the outside, but you got a 6-pointed star here too. Now look what happens when the heart beats. This part moves. This part doesn't. And if you look at it, you can see that they're trying to become one triangle. You see how it's trying to become one triangle? Like, you know, the same. All right. So I have found that once those two are the same, you get a 5th chamber. And the 5th chamber of the heart, okay, we don't have yet. As human beings, okay, we don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people have them. But the idea is that once those come in, once the 5th chamber comes in, you have a whole new consciousness. So here is the inside. Okay, here it is here. And that goes inside this one, which is the Chestahedron. Okay. So that takes care of my idea of the heart. I wanted to show you one other thing and see if it's around. Probably the last bag. Yeah. I took a coat hanger and I cut the coat hanger. Yeah, and it's pretty neat. I got almost a 7. See that? Is that right? That's a 7, right? Look at that. I just bent the coat hanger all over the place, you know, where it was bent. I bent it into 7. So I put this in a drill. Look what happens. Can you see that?
There you go.
Can you see that's the bell? Huh? Okay, how can straight lines become curved? There's a curve there. And there's the circle up at the top there, look. Pretty cool, huh?
Yep.
All right. This gave me an idea. I had the idea that I was going to try to reverse. See, this is a reversal. What's going on here? Our heart like reversals. That's the element of air. Our heart loves to reverse. And what we have to do is to try to learn how to reverse lovely. Okay, so what I decided, after I saw that spin, I thought, you know, why don't I try to design a propeller? Why don't I try to design a propeller and reverse it? How can I reverse this thing? So what I did is that the propeller moves here on the periphery. This is the peripheral. And I guess on the helicopters, for instance, I mean, it's way faster than the speed of sound. That's how fast these move. Anyway, so I thought, well, how can I make this, how can I reverse this? So what I thought I'd do is take the periphery and put it in the center. So what does a propeller look like that has these going into the center instead of out to the periphery? But how am I going to do that? So one of the things that I learned that I need to show you is this. This is called a spinner. And they put the spinner on the propeller to direct the air away from the center of the propeller when it turns, because it's dead. The propeller moves around like that, but the center is dead. So this allows the air to go around, over the spinner, and then into the motor to cool it. Also allows the air to go across and become more lamellar flowing. So there's lamellar layers that are connected to all objects, and that means that because the biggest lamellar layer is right down here on Earth, but as these layers are packed up like this, they get very thin at the top. That's why the jets fly way up there, because that air is the thinnest, so they don't have to use so much gas. Okay, so there's also on objects. So I thought, well, I wonder how that would be. So what I did is I started fooling around, and started working on this propeller. So I had come up with a couple designs. They're still all 7. Okay, but I put airfoils on them. And I found out that when I do spin this, it does move air, away from and around this spinner. I thought, well, no, the spinners were invented in 1910, and no one has done anything with a spinner from that time on. Nobody. So I thought, well, at least maybe I've got something I can try. But this is reversing the propeller. So what I did was, I made a sculpture. So I made the sculpture because that's what I do. Okay? And then from the sculpture, I try to find out if there's something practical. So I use art, which is where I start. The 7-sided form started with art. It didn't start with science. But it went into science, which you saw. Okay, and the balance between that art and that intuition and creativity and so forth can lead into the scientists with their measurements. So I made a sculpture of it. I made a sculpture that I'm going to show you right now. This is the idea of a bell, of a prop, okay, a propeller that pushes and pulls at the same time. And this is just the first idea. Okay, here it is. Which, I like sculptures. So this is what it looks like.
Whoa. Gorgeous.
The rocks, doesn't it? It may not work, but I like it. So what I decided to do is, this is a real spinner. Runs off a Piper. And the only reason I have it, one of the reasons I even started this, is because I got this on eBay really cheap. I don't know why, but I could never afford a spinner. Really cheap. Because it had cracks and all kinds of stuff, you can't have on an airplane. So what I did is, I took the propeller, which is this cavity here, and I ran it from that cavity out. And so what I thought, well, okay, to be really practical, this is out of balance. You spin this thing, I don't know, like that, right? It can be off center, whatever. So what I did is I made one that's centered.
Ooh.
Now, if I take this, and this is all accurate, these are airfoils on here I've got. They're not just flat pieces of metal. They have a profile. So when I spin this, there's the bell. You see the bell?
Yep.
Now, what this does is that it causes suction to come in here. That's what this thing is. The heart is all about suction. So, the form, the geometry is about suction. So what I did was I realized that there was a suctional force here. That meant that the air could go across the spinner much faster than without. And so if I could have worked this out and could get a spinner, okay, we could go on a spinner.
Wow.
See, these just come off because this is where they bolt the propeller. They also bolt the propeller from the back too. But sometimes I don't even have this, but a lot of them do. So, this could be adapted to all spinners on all airplanes. Okay, so what's that going to do? Well, the first place is that it creates a vortex. That's what happens. Okay, and then this part that's out here, whatever, here's the spinner. Here's the vacuum. Now what I did was I angled these, okay, so they would propel. So what's happening is that the spinner will propel air this way and suck it this way. So now we have suction that's being complemented or being helped by pressure. And they're all on the same axis, they're all going the same direction. One is sucked and one is pulled. So that the pulling part, this part right here, which pulls, So when it spins, okay, this is going to propel forward. But this is pushing the air back, just like a propeller, just like this one. Pushes the air back. But at the same time is that the air is being pushed back, it's being sucked here. So you can see there's a double whammy kind of thing. And that should be able to take this and run the air over the spinner faster than without. So therefore, if we can increase the laminar flow around this by doing this, and what I have in mind is to put another column right like this, so that the air is gone into that column and comes out here, and this directs a stream of air like a bullet, like this, that will separate that laminar layer that we're trying to separate. And then, if this could save 1 cup of gasoline, you see, this isn't all about going faster. This isn't all, that's not what all this is about, is to try to make millions of bucks and go fast. Okay. The idea is that if this could save 1 cup of aviation fuel out of every 10 gallons, okay, so, and you know how many flights there are. Every jet engine, every propeller engine, all the noses on airplanes have spinners. Your big 747 has a spinner. So these could be screwed on, just like this one is, the way it's done. That's the way this one is, just screwed on. So this could suck and push at the same time. And if it does, and we can save gas, we will never reap the savings because the airlines will reap. But what do? We are developing a particular project that can save gasoline. So what that does is it slows the deterioration and the destruction of the earth down. We're not going to ever prevent it. You cannot prevent the destruction of the earth. But we can slow it down. And that's what we're trying to do here with this. Not trying to go faster, and not trying to save money, but to try to save gasoline. Well, this is one project that's, I'm hoping somebody will come in through the door and say, you know, I'm really interested in that project. What do I do? And I said, well, the first thing I did was put it in the bathtub. I spun it in the bathtub, and I'm telling you, the water just came right out on here. Put it in the bathtub, it just all came up like this. Okay, so water is just to densify air. So that means that this is going to have to turn a lot faster than in my bathtub to affect air. So what I want to do, if I had more money, I would have Dean probably make me a wind tunnel outside on this area here. Not a real big one, but a big one, big enough to test these things, put smoke through the air, and see if I can suck it into that little other cone that goes around here. And if I can, I got something. So think of how many spinners there are on the world. Mm-hmm. Gosh, it's unbelievable how much gas could be saved. So this is a project that I'm trying to encourage people to do, and I got lots of other ones. Thank you.
I recently just went to watch my second one is your third. So can you generate energy that way? That's using the motion of water since you tested it in there. That might be a new propulsion system. I'm just saying.
Please, somebody help me.
Well, first, he's mentioned that he's had heart surgery.
Okay.
And that he's worked, I believe, in the Navy.
Submarine.
The Marines.
Okay.
And submarines. Thank you.
He's talking Schauberger.
And what?
He's talking like Schauberger, the implosion aspect of it,
Yeah.
creating
Wants
free
to know,
energy out of it.
Can it
So what
create
is he-
energy?
He's wondering if you could do a free energy machine from that,
Okay.
the principle.
So let me tell you about free energy. Free energy, okay, this implodes. Okay, the Chestahedron implodes water, which you will see Kevin's done right over here. After we've done the performance in here, we're going to come here and see what Kevin. You will see an implosion. The implosion, okay, is where all the power is. The suction is fine, but the implosion is where it is. Okay. So a lot of people are into the free energy stuff. That's not my goal. Okay, if it happens, okay, I'll just let's see if that happens. But remember that if you get a free energy, it's not going to be free, because these people are going to buy it up and are going to just be able to make more money on it. So the idea is not to try to find this machine that will fit in your living room that will save you energy, because it won't be there. They'll buy that up before you ever get to see it. That's what happens. So, if free energy can come for this, or somebody's really interested in it, so am I. I'm interested too. But I haven't found it. But I'm telling you, if you see the implosion here, you know that there's more energy coming out of it than going in. I can answer questions now if you want to ask me. I don't know what time it is.
What about the noise? Will that cut down the noise due to the fact that it's like more implosion rather than pushing, rather than sucking? That's the whole point of having vortex implosion, is to get rid of all that racket, all these planes flying over.
That's the problem with all this, is the racket.
Yeah,
the racket is damaging us.
Yes, it is.
It's hurting us.
Yeah, it is.
All this noise is hurting us.
Killing us.
But I do know that a vacuum is quieter than pressure.
Yeah.
What time is it?
12:22.
Oh, okay, we've got 8 minutes of questions. I'm right on schedule. If there's no questions, yes.
Have you done any work to try and project the Chestahedron into 4 dimensions like the Tesseract?
I have. What this man is referring to is taking a cube and extending it out into 6 directions, okay, and that makes a tesseract. I mean, I would like to have somebody come in here and try to make a tesseract. That's what I'm here for, is to try to get people to come in to do this kind of work, because eventually we're going to hit on something. It's going to be big time. Richard's going to be very happy. But it's going to take a while. It's taken a year, but we got a lot of stuff already. I have people that want these, they're called geometric still point centers, because these are all based about sitting in and doing a quiet time with yourself and centering it. When you sit in it, you center it exactly into the center of the form. And all the pyramids that people are selling, and they're selling like mad all over on the internet, go look, they're just pyramids. You know, they're just square pieces in the center. There's no center. You know, whereas this, I mean, there's no question about it. And why shouldn't you be contemplating these kind of things in a heart? It has the geometry of the heart. That's the idea behind it. Pretty neat, huh? This thing could be pushing air and sucking it at the same time on the same axis. That's never been done before. No one has ever done anything like that. See, because I can spin this, put my finger in here. I can touch the spinner. Okay? I'm going to get my finger cut off. That's because this is drawing it in and pushing. And it's really beautiful, isn't it? You know, it's really, I really like it. Okay.
Question. I have a question.
Yeah.
How can we help you, Frank?
Well, you know, you could help me by first coming in the door. And the other way you could help me is through donations. Now, Raphael Pharmacy has donated $5,000. Richard has donated like you can't believe, you know, how Richard does. And so I've asked for donations for 1 year, and of course I had Raphael Pharmacy and I had Richard. Okay. But I got 2 other ones.
3.
I got 2 other donations. One was for $25, and one was for $100.
Don't forget the 400 or 500. A couple more than that, but okay. We just don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, it's just like.
What is this?
We got a few more donations than that, but you're right, not many.
Yeah, we got a few more, but I mean, okay, $50. So the thing is, we need more donations, of course, okay, and they're tax write-off. You can write them off, and then we could build the wind tunnel. That's what I would really like, is to get into the wind tunnel with this, because this has a potential that there isn't anybody else having anything like this on the planet. There's nothing like it. Nothing.
Are you interested to patent this design?
What was that?
Are you interested to patent this design?
Well, you know, I've been able to afford 1 patent. And that's because of this lady right here. This is Eileen Sullivan. More. Okay, she paid for 1. So, I mean, how many how many people step up and are willing to pay for a patent. All right, so, and that's for the United States. If you go to Europe, all the patents across Europe, each country has their own patent, and they're usually between $5,000 and $10,000 each country. So, only thing I've done is poor man's patent. The poor man's patent is I take pictures of it, I draw it up, I put all the measurements, I put all the dates, I have it notarized, I put my thumbprint on it, I sign it, and I send it to myself, registered mail. Here it comes, okay? I have to sign for it. Then I take that same envelope and I put it in another envelope, and I go back to the post office and do it again. But this time I put wax on all the edges, okay? So that anybody opening up to change something, you know somebody's been messing around, okay? So that's a poor man's patent. I've done that, that's all.
What happens on Wednesdays? You said people are invited in. What do they do? It sounds like you've got people working with their hands on Wednesdays.
Yes, you want to know what they do? You're going to see exactly what they do is after lunch. You're going to go from one to the next. They're all different projects that are going on. Look at this one back there. There's a bigger one here. All these projects are going on. Okay, and we only have, you know, a handful of people, and that's wonderful that I have those people. You know? And Dean is the head of all the research, and any research that comes in, it goes through him. And we're just waiting for more people to come through the door. Now, Wednesday is always open here. Any other day that you need me here, I come. So let's say you need me Thursday, or I need me Friday, or whatever. I'll come over here. And I'll work with you, and so forth and so on. So,
Frank.
yes.
Frank, this is such sort of deep and long-term and basic research. I think thinking far ahead, you need an endowment where the money would just, you would spend the interest and this could go on. The Chestahedron needs an endowment to go into perpetuity.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yeah, and yes, that's wonderful. You have to remember that I have forms, the seven-sided form. You know, I have maybe 12 others that have never been seen before. I already got them. They're in my living room. There's nobody to work on this. Now, I know Del Mar, I think, is going to start working with plants, and I've already had one woman in Wisconsin who has worked with the plants, and they found that when you spin this in the water and then water it compared to regular water on this side with another set of plants, that you got a much more dense growth of roots. The nodes were closer together. The leaves were bigger, wider and longer. Okay, and the deterioration rate as the plant got older and older and older, it stayed younger longer. Okay, that's just from the water that was poured in by mixing this device, which is what Kevin is doing, is he's making a tea brewer, which is huge. What size are the largest size, Kevin, wherever you are? I don't see you, Kevin. Kevin, what is the larger size that you're making?
Well, I mean, I've sourced ball tanks that are 1,000 gallons right now.
How many?
1,000 gallons.
Okay.
So we figure out the way, or handle a new frame, be able to handle the weight of anything bigger if we maintain the framework.
Yeah, so Dean is doing, okay, it's all based on geometry, it's based on squaring a circle. These kind of things are going on. All the time I'm hoping more and more comes. There's all of these vortex machines I made over here before I even had the center. Nobody's taken these up. Nobody's said, hey, well, let me try that one. I'm waiting for that. Patiently. and I, you know, it doesn't, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You know, right? But I'm not going to stop working. Like Faith says, you never stop. What, I got $125 worth of those. You think that's going to stop me? No. Doesn't stop.
Frank, with this,
what's that?
You need to find a modern-day Charles Lindbergh. Because he was fanatical about saving money on fuel for aircraft, the way they flew the aircraft.
Jim, if it does save fuel, this is major.
Oh, major.
I mean major. Think of the airplanes in the air right now.
Revolutionary.
Whether you can find them or not. You need these things. if it works. I need to find out, how am I gonna know if it works if I don't have a wind tunnel? You know, they're made out of plywood and a big fan and some smoke. You can buy a liquid smoke, comes in a bottle, and then it goes out. That's what I need. I need to find out if I can suck the vortex in around this spinner. If I can suck an explosion, implosion around this, major.
How much would it cost? How much would it cost to create
For
a wind tunnel?
A wind tunnel, Dean? Okay, I'll give you an estimate. A couple $1,000s. Yeah, of course. You know, we need a bunch of plywood and a pretty big fan. It has to circulate like this. And then there's a plastic window with a little guy in here, with a motor. And then plastic windows to film it. But to find out if it goes in there. And I think this is right where it would go in. Right there is where it will go in. Yeah, I'd say, Jim, a couple $1,000 would do it.
I'll put $1,000 down.
What do you think?
I'll put $1,000 down.
You're putting in 1,000?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Can you give that $1,000 to Raphael Pharmacy? They'll match it.
It's Raphael Medical Foundation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Raphael Medical Foundation. Can you give that $1,000 to them?
Of course.
Then I've got 2,000.
Yeah, but the problem is Medical Foundation is not going to back that because it's not to do with medical research.
Okay.
We'll find somebody.
You're going to match
I got $1,000. I had zero when I walked in here. Thank you very much, Jim.
Find the other 1,000.
We will.
I got to find another 1,000 before he'll give it to me.
Yeah.
We will. We're on it.
Okay.
Team's on it.
And find a fanatical aeronautical engineer who's a nut flying aircraft. He's the guy you want.
Yeah, they would
I think I might know someone.
Especially if I had a wind tunnel to show them the effect that it's working. Oh,
right.
Yeah, I think I might know
You need the guy, you need the wind tunnel, and you need the money. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
Any more questions?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do a Kickstarter, you've got to set it up on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
You have a fund, and it's matching donations.
Good.
You do it that way, get your money, start getting a constant flow.
Cameron knows how to do it.
We're heading in that direction.
Yeah, okay.
We're headed there.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you've kickstarted it, Jim.
Yeah, well,
This
now it needs
particular
another
project.
kickstart.
Yeah, we're looking at other grants.
Great.
Nobody gets paid here. Everything is volunteer. All the things that I do and Dean does, Faith does, well, not Faith, but the other people are all volunteers. Stephen, you know, Cameron. He buys all the money, his own money to buy the jewelry, to have it prototyped, and then he starts to sell it. He uses that money also to try to make more of them and so forth and so on. And when he came in here, he didn't know anything about jewelry. He didn't know about anything like this, but he liked it. And that's what I'm looking for, people who like to work with their hands and do something new.
Cameron relates to truth, beauty, and goodness, and makes it manifest through working with you and studying the Chestahedron and all of that. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So, the plan is to see the presentation or eat lunch?
Well,
eat lunch first and then see the presentation.
the plan is to thank you for your lecture and to close, and then I'm going to say just a few words, and then we're going to eat. And then after we eat, we're going to convene in here so that Sebastian and Lilith can lead us through something that they're doing. And then we're back in here to work with Kevin and Cameron and Dean and others.
Sounds great.
Okay, so thank you, Frank.
Thank you for coming. For me. This is the celebration of the first or the second year. I have a picture of the first year, everybody. Would everybody get up here in the front and allow somebody to take a picture off?
We will, but not quite yet, because a few more things have to be said.
Okay, well, I'm
But
just
we're going to do a
I don't
group
want people to
photo.
leave before, you know, we need to do it now.
Before lunch?
Yes, before lunch now.
Okay, well, I'm going to say just a few words, and then we'll stop. We'll take the group photo, and then we'll eat lunch.
Okay.
All right. The question was asked. How do people enter in? What do we do here? And I want to go back to that question that this lady over here asked. Right now, there's a small group of us that are making Chestahedrons about this tall out of cardstock paper. Frank wants 200 of them. I think that different people are doing them, and we're probably up to about 40. That's something that also happens on Wednesdays. There's always a way to enter in. You have to find it. It can be really fast and jump it in, and you have certain skills and they can be put to use right away. And then there are other times where it's through conversation that you learn to enter in. It is through making Chestahedrons. There are so many different ways. So don't be intimidated by everything that you see going on around here. I mean, this intimidates me. I wouldn't know how to do any of that. But there are people that do, and all hands are a help. There's always work to do, and always something to do. So I just wanted to reiterate that, Frank. Okay? Also, I would like to, before we completely close, to say that Frank is writing a book. Yeah. And that begins tomorrow. Woo-hoo! Yay! Now, this book is for medical doctors. And, well, for everybody, but specifically geared for the medical profession and heart doctors and all of that. So Frank has been very hands-on all year long, just working, and he's going to turn some of that attention and energy over to this book. And so we'll see in a year's time where we are with that, and we're going to be asking for grants to help kickstart that work also. So there's many different projects, and our hands are in many different ways of trying to bring about funding. Everything that you give is a help, and we're going to pass around the hat even for Frank's lecture today, so that, because Frank gives it all free, and he needs help too to keep going.
Yeah, I used to get $1,000 for one of these lectures. Plus my meals and a hotel and whatever, you know. But that's all gone up, giving it away.
So we'll pass the hat today. Thank you very much. And then on a last note, after experiencing this lecture of Frank's, we go home, we think about what we've experienced and how it affects our thinking, our feeling, and our actions in our own personal lives. And then how we interact with each other and what we do. And that's grounding. We need to do that. All of this work pushes the bounds of all of that. There is personal growth, what happens in our own lives, what happens here, what we do selflessly for all of humanity to try to push forward our evolution. And we all have a say, we have a voice, we have hands that can work, and we all go out there with all of our different professions, and we're giving. And here, we have to look and see who is the Chestahedron? What's going on here? You know, how can I enter in? What can I do? And then, as we do our own quiet, meditative work and are on our own life's paths, where is this pushing the bounds of our thinking, our feeling, and our willing, and what we do? Thank you. We'll do it before
you guys can do that for me.